Dallas, what is your opinion on AI artists?
I have a biased opinion on it because I think for a lot of us, including myself, I've always wanted to have an artist that I didn't have to deal with at some point. Because I was like, just think of Mickey Mouse or Crisscross or Another Bad Creation stayed the same age and you could just keep making songs on them, right? Then every year, a kid would love that artist like they love Mickey Mouse, right? So one of the things you gotta understand with AI artists is it's gonna coexist with real artists. It's not gonna take them away. So it's an entry point that allows, just like everything else, it's just another industrial revolution. And it's not just AI artists, it's AI music, AI film, AI actors, AI clothing. I mean, it's just a world we're gonna have to understand that it's seeped into a different environment now. It used to be something they used for only data, right? But now it's seeped into all these creative environments, and the people are taking it more as a threat than a tool. And I think that once you learn how to use it for yourself, because if you don't use the tool, then what's gonna happen is you're gonna get extinct and not be as fast and not as quick as viable as somebody else that's doing it. It doesn't mean you get away from your skill. It doesn't mean that, a singer isn't still gonna be needed. Like they need a Summer Walker, they need a Kalani, they need someone who they're gonna follow and love and can hug and know what emotions they go through and all this stuff. At the same rate, people like entertainment. And they like, remember the song from Frozen?
Oh yes, Let It Go.
Let It Go. For the longest, they thought this little character was singing that song. When it wasn't.
Right.
And so it's the same thing. And I think people have attachment to it in the same ways as they do, kind of like a character, because they know they can't access their character for real. So part of the fantasy is what lets them like their character. Is not being able to really access it, and so it lives in a fantasy land. Now the problem you're gonna have is, in Japan they've been doing this forever. Like in different countries, they've been doing hologram shows and taking some of their acts and characters and turning them into artists. They've been doing that. And you go to the show and you look at it and it's amazing, and that's what they expect to see. They expect to see the hologram, they expect to see the screens. The problem you're gonna have is, when you fast forward another, let's say 5-10 years, and the robots now that they're making, when they start to have skin and they start to really be a person, you can't tell who's the difference. That's when that problem is gonna kick in, because now you can actually fall in love with something that you feel is tangible, is just wired, instead of having the same emotions that you have. But now it's still gonna be somewhere in between learning how to use this tool. If you were a doctor, then you would say, man, I'm gonna get more accurate information from being able to pull it from all over the world than I am just from the time it takes to study. So the doctors are quick on it, and it's another efficiency, right? You are gonna have a problem at a certain point where, us as musicians, as writers, as a distributor, I distribute music for everybody, and so I can tell when it's AI music that comes through because they haven't learned to make the covers match the music yet. You can tell
Interesting.
You can tell it's someone, like if you look through most of the Suno stuff, it's a bunch of gaming kids. It's a bunch of people who don't mind being in that world. It's not a whole lot of people who's in the real world on Suno that's going, I live within Suno. They're saying, I can use some of this stuff, take it out of there and use it for my skill. If I want to choir, I put one in Suno to sing it, and I can put it back in my other DAW and I can make my music. But the people that's really living in Suno, a lot of gamers, a lot of kids that's young, a lot of kids that's into K-pop and just different genres of, things like that, anime. So they're living in that fictitious world, and now you just added a reality to it. It'll always have a separation to me until it gets to the point where you can really sit across from that human and feel and hug that human. You're still gonna need the Monicas, the Brandys. You're still gonna need.
Right, because I have to ask you. You have colleagues that I know you've worked with. I mean, Jermaine Dupri, Candy Burris, the list goes on, of people who are very anti.
Yeah.
What is your message to them?
I mean, they are anti, and they should be. I mean, I think a part of my life, I've always been somebody who's been interested in the next, whatever it was. So I never really held on too tight to. I've seen so many changes. I've seen my tape machines turn into Pro Tools. I've seen people come in, I got my $1 million console sitting there, and they're gonna sit their laptop on it and not even use my console no more. I've seen it take 5 days to record an orchestra to 15 minutes. So then I've seen it go from CDs to micro CDs to streaming, right? And we couldn't stream before because the technology and the word didn't exist. So until you build these components, things can't exist to do stuff for you, right? So we never thought we'd be at a point where we're sitting here streaming to the whole world, to way more people than we ever could. We make way less money.
Yeah.
So it's just one of those things that but you adjust to it, and I think with AI and music, is it gonna cut out some things for people? Probably the ones that don't know how to use it, yes. Because if you come to me and you say, I need a score for this movie, and the most effective way for you to do it and everything else, then I'm probably gonna use some AI to help me get my strings and stuff on there before I even play it for a string section, or I'm probably gonna do something somewhere equated in there to do that. If not, I'm probably gonna get outdone by somebody else, or I'm probably gonna get, or if they can afford at this point to do it, they can afford to put a big orchestra in and really do what they would do in Hollywood at $200, $300 million movies anymore, because they're not even making movies that way anymore. So if you don't adjust to the times and what's happening, is when people get caught up in the job. Now, administrative wise, I'll be more worried because a lot of times the administrative staff is sitting there keeping tabs of something, they're keeping record of something, they're keeping schedule of something, blah, blah. So then if you didn't show up first to say, hey, I got a better way for us to do that, then
it's not too good.
It's not too good because, I think artists, though, you're going to see a lot more AI artists. All of us have them, have had them.
Okay, so that's what I want to ask you about, because I saw that for Fan Mail, the Fan Mail album, we're talking about TLC, 1999, I heard that you had an AI artist on the album?
I did. It was Virtual Vicky. Left I quit the group right when we were making the record. So I was like, well, what do we do? And I was like, why don't we just make a virtual version of her? And I'll put her apps into the Mac and then put it in, and then let's get it back out, and then become a rap version. So all the songs you heard on that Fan Mail record is basically before they could put the AI pieces together, make it AI. It was a piece together version of it.
Wow. So it's a little AI before AI.
Yeah.
Okay.
And like I said, even when you listen to the intro of it, it's everything that I would have wanted her to say. Welcome, we've dedicated our favorite album to people that made Fan Mail, But it's, again, I always believe in the fact that if you're smart enough to use the tool, it doesn't mean you're gonna get left behind. It doesn't mean like, if Jermaine doesn't like AI or self-driving cars, he don't like those either. But it's not gonna change anything in his existence in the way that he does stuff, because he does stuff in a way that only he can do it. You can. It's nuances about human beings that change by the millisecond, not even by the second. There's certain words we say different now, there's certain phrases that mean something different, there's certain conversation you just had on the phone just now that AI couldn't have, that's gonna go make you write a song. And not to say that AI won't come up with clever stuff, but these situations like here, like the foldeds and stuff like that, and the songs you can tell really happen to somebody, they're written a certain way, and they're written in certain imperfections and ebonics, right?
Yeah.
Like when I wrote Just One of Them Days for Monica, right?
Yeah.
It's one of those days, it's not perfect English.
Right, but if you said one of those days, it's not the song that it is today.
It's not the song that it is.
Yeah, it's not a classic. and I think so. I think what I'm understanding from you here is there's room for both.
It's a coexistence.
And there almost has to be, in your words, room for both.
It's no other choice.
Yeah.
It's no other way. It's like even in the film industry, you're gonna fall in love now with new characters, but you've always fallen in love with characters that wasn't real. So that's fine. They just got new skin now and they're like humans, but it doesn't mean that you're not gonna love, Denzel or whoever that's an actor at the time. But it is a threat to those who either don't believe in it at all, don't use it as a tool, or don't know that it exists even, because that's just another competition for you also. If you don't know it exists, then you're going against it.
Right, without even knowing and realizing that. Now, what do you think, and my last question for you here kind of is, what do you think of Gail's interview? You see this artist, but not artist, but artist? I don't know what you... I
was glad to see that it came from the girl, who looks like her, and they made an image of her, and she did what she wished she could do, right? Because it didn't have to be that way. You could just take a character from out of the air and make it and put the records to it. So I was glad it was an extension of something like that. And I know that everybody's, for her to get a deal, I think, is where everybody starts tripping at, because it poses a threat. Even with Timbaland's artist, when he said I have an AI artist and I got an AI label, that poses a threat to all the artists. Like, oh, you're not gonna do us no more. You know, if they just did it, then nobody would have cared. They would say, oh, cool, he got an AI artist, or, you know, the same way they did. They ease right in with a song, and people like the song, and the song start taking off, and that's what the record label looks for all day long. Any record they could get to take off. They're not really compassionate about records anymore. That all went out of the way when they started, when the Jimmy Iovine's and Clive Davises, and you know, when everything turned into data that they could see sitting there, and they would judge an artist by how much do you have and how much do you. That flipped because artists used to have anything. That was the whole point of them coming to a label.
Right.
I don't have anything. You're going to turn me into a star.
This does not work that way anymore.
TLC would have never got signed if they had to say how many people like you already.
Yeah. What's your follower count and all that? Yeah.
So it left then and started turning into data. So after it turned into data, and then Spotify turned into data, and everything turned digital into data, the obvious next step was artists to turn into data. Because our music now, the way I distribute it is different than, you know, the trucks they used to pull up to the record store every week. You know, now that's gone, so it's no trucks, it's no shipments. You know, so now everything's digital. So everything is now living in that world, and it was just the next step was to have AI artists and to have AI music. A lot of us have songs sitting around. Like my thing was, I have songs I've written for years for different people, and I said, well, you know what, let me just make this little girl and put those songs on her. I'm not trying to trick you and tell you that she's something real. And I think that that's what they did great with the artist, with Gail, that she interviewed. I think what they did great was they didn't try to trick you. Like if they had tried to make you think that was real, then we got a problem.
Right.
But for them to say, no, we never said it was nothing but an AI artist. So this is fun, this is a project. And those things will stay that way. You'll have plenty of things that come out that way. And I think it'll also, what it's gonna do is, and I don't know if you've seen this thing happen like movies and stuff before, but the more the technology kicks in, the more people go look for the real stuff. Mm-hmm. You know, because they start
yes, okay, you hit on exactly what I've been thinking about this. Almost in the same way that Auto-Tune had a huge moment. In the way that producers have big moments. There are eras where it's like Timbaland, Scott Storch, yourself, like eras. Yeah. And then eventually there's a new season.
Yep.
So I'm curious if that'll happen with this too.
It will. It'll. You know, I think a lot of producers will find ways to use it, as like I said, as their tool. And I think now that it is in the forefront. I mean, it's so many AI music companies. From the time I've had my AI little thing like 3 or 4 years ago, it's been, I mean, by the day, it's just more and more. And everybody, they started off as novelties, like on your phone. Hey, you can make a song too, right? And so people, oh yeah, that's fun. But when you do have things like Suno, and you do have companies like OpenAI who are talking to other record companies now about how to make something that competes, like you are going up against something there. But I do think that it will make a real artist, like when you go see them and you start to see it, they're gonna start to love that way more. And you're gonna start to be more unique. And I mean, already now, if you look at some of the tours that's out, and you look at the Bobby Valentinos and the Sammys and people that's been touring now, just touring guy, and people that they wanna go see shows and people sing, and that's why that exists right now, is because people are getting so much digital that they couldn't go get that same feeling that Keith Sweat is gonna get them at the show, you know what I'm saying? Okay. So I do think it's gonna make people go, it's gonna work both ways. It's gonna coexist. People are gonna love this, and they're also gonna really love people that's really talented.
Perfect. Dallas, thank you.
You're welcome.